Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. One of the things that never ceases to amaze me is the complete lack of interest among the medical profession in getting to the bottom of where the pandemic originated from and whether there was a high-level cover-up, because there is more and more information coming to the forefront regarding this. And I cannot believe it. Most doctors out there, when you show them this information, it's kind of like, huh? Like a deer in headlight look. You would think that more doctors would be interested, seeing as it was the biggest health story of the last 50 years. It completely turned the world upside down. Wouldn't there be more curiosity at high levels of the medical establishment about how this virus originated and whether indeed there was a high-level cover-up? And of course, the mainstream media, well, we don't expect too much from them. So disappointing. The United States is supposed to be a free country, but the mainstream media is anything but. For the most part, the vast majority of the mainstream media is corporate owned, and it has only one narrative. Only one narrative is allowed. And if anything doesn't fit the narrative, if any of the high-level figures who are being protected by the mainstream media because of their power, if any information comes out which is not favorable for them, the mainstream media simply doesn't talk about it. Goodness me, had the Watergate scandal happened now and President Nixon been on the side of the mainstream narrative, he wouldn't have even had to resign because the story wouldn't have even broke in the mainstream media. That is how far we have regressed over the last 50 years. What an utter disgrace. Journalism, media is supposed to be about getting to the truth, but we are not living in that era right now. We like to laugh and look down in Western countries on the more authoritarian countries in the world. But the truth is that if you ask people who are actually from authoritarian countries, they will tell you that they often laugh completely at the media, which is state-controlled, because they know it is a whole load of baloney. But in the West, it's actually more dangerous in a way because people actually believe the media and don't understand that it is controlled by people who have an agenda and want to only reinforce one narrative. It is not completely free. It is not true journalism. But thankfully, a few publications and a few politicians do want to get to the truth because they think it is important. Let me share this very recent story with you. So here we have allegations of wrongdoing and illegal activity by Dr. David Morens, Senior Advisor to National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases former Director, Dr. Anthony Fauci. And the allegation is serious misconduct. The memo includes previously unreleased email correspondence obtained by subpoena that incriminates Dr. Morens in undermining the operations of the US government, unlawfully deleting federal pandemic records, and using a personal email to avoid the Freedom of Information Act, and repeatedly acting unbecoming of a federal employee. Further, the memo reveals new emails suggesting Dr. Fauci was aware of Dr. Morens's nefarious behavior and may have even engaged in federal records violations himself. Well, very serious allegations there, but what did the emails actually say? What did the emails contain? These are all publicly available on the US government website. I've included the link down below. Let's go through the emails. So here we have one from Dr. David Morens, and he says, "I forgot to say there is no worry about freedom of information. I can either send stuff to Tony, that is Dr. Fauci, on his private Gmail or hand it to him at work or at his house. He is too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble." Oh, well, that sounds a bit suspicious, doesn't it? You'd think people would be more interested in this. And here we have another email here saying at the bottom, "I suggested that this person try to interview Tony directly and connected him to our secret back channel. He emailed Tony a few hours ago." This was from May 2021, and the email is about early appearance of two distinct genomic lineages of the virus. And it goes on. I won't go through the full emails, but I will go over the important parts of each email. This part here, Tony has told him not to be in touch with you and EHA for the time being. And Peter, I will be meeting with Tony about this later on. So this is where it gets interesting, because the Peter they're referring to is Dr. Peter Daszak. This is Dr. Peter Daszak. I'm sorry to say that he is British, and his position, President of EcoHealth Alliance, a US-based organization that conducts research and outreach programs on global health, conservation, and international development. And one of the things that's listed here, and this is on their website still now, this includes identifying the bat origin of SARS, the drivers of other viruses and discovering SARS coronavirus. And the question is, did high-level figures within the US public health establishment know this early on? Remember, this was a time where if you even said that, you were being censored by social media. So then we have another one here from David Morenz to Peter Daszak. Peter, from Tony's numerous recent comments to me, and from what Francis has been vocal about over the past 5 days, they are trying to protect you, which also protects their own reputations. And this is going back now to February 2021. I learned from our Freedom of Information lady here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd. That sounds very shady indeed, doesn't it? I learned the tricks last year from an old friend who heads our Freedom of Information Act office. Perfectly legit behavior there, of course, from top federal employees in public health. I forgot to clarify in my email yesterday that both my Gmail and phone calls are now safe. Text is not, as it can be, subject to freedom of information, as can my government email. This was again from David Morenz. And there's more and more if you go through the website. Peter, have a stiff drink before you read, but do not worry. This is a new normal. And if we go back to August 2020, at the height of the initial pandemic scare and the ridiculous pandemic response, take a look at this email, which was being circulated. So it looks like this was from Peter Daszak to a number of different people. There's a Gmail address there. Who knows who that is? The big question is it who we are thinking about? Stat, NIH awards $7.5 million grant to EcoHealth Alliance, months after uproar over political interference. Very happy to see this announced today, just hoping that the errant shysters on One American News Network don't start banging the drum so loud that the orange blob decides to decapitate this one also. I think we all know who the orange blob that they are referring to is, the former president. Thanks for your kind words. And of course, there's a kickback. Yes, kickbacks. That is how our top public health institutions work. Sounds like true health and well-being at work there, right? And this is from David Morenz. Do I get a kickback? Too much bleep money? Do you deserve it all? And if all that isn't bad enough, it gets even more inappropriate now. Well, she does wear a skirt. I poured a little cold water on her. Another one from David Morenz. Beverage is always good and best delivered by a blonde nymphomaniac, if you can manage that. Actually, at my age, I'll take a brunette, even a redhead. Well, many men might have their own unique preference for blondes, brunettes, or redheads. That's something that's always made the world go round. The question is, should it be something that people are talking about in emails, especially high-level public officials, and especially older men who are married with children? That makes it more than simply unprofessional, but also inappropriate and quite disgusting. And it gets even more explicit and disgusting. I'm not even going to read them. You can go to the website and read yourself at the bottom what they're writing in their emails to each other. So are there any mainstream media publications at all that are interested in this story, apart from the New York Post? Well, here we have a piece in the Daily Mail published within the last 48 hours. British publication, and at least they're talking about it. Fauci's right-hand man dumbfounded over deleted emails and disgusting comments made towards women. So I'm sure that more emails and more correspondence will come out with time. Of course, that is what will happen. But I ask you to consider this. Go ahead and Google this story, and you will see an almost complete blackout from the US mainstream media. They are not interested whatsoever in such a huge story, when it is obvious to anyone with even a fraction of common sense that something major was going on. The public health officials who were held in such high regard by so many millions of people, I wasn't one of them, by the way, but so many millions of people, because that is the narrative that the mainstream media put forward. They were not who everybody thought they were. There were other things going on from the very beginning. And eventually the truth will come out. And the only hope for that is for those of us who really believe in getting to the bottom of this and think that this is a serious story, because unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say, as I said at the beginning, most doctors out there don't seem to be the least bit interested in pursuing what was the biggest health story of the last 50 years and getting to the bottom of it. If they aren't going to do it, then the only hope is for the everyday citizen who wants the truth to come out, to not shut up about this, and for some brave elected representatives to keep on pushing. But I have no doubt that the truth will come out in the end, because three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Thanks everyone for watching. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a comment. What do you think about this story? I actually think it's going to get a lot worse in the future. More and more information will come out about what our top public health officials, who people thought were simply protecting us, what they knew from the very beginning. So stay tuned, everyone.